My best friend and I both got transmigrated into evil stepmothers. The system told me to scald the little antagonist's body. So, I picked up a curling iron and gave him a French lazy curl. My best friend was forced by the system to feed the little heroine foul food. So, she turned around and served her snail rice noodles with a fried egg system. Are you two exploiting bugs here? The host must slap Fuin within 2 minutes, or points will be deducted. Looking at the skinny 10-year-old boy in front of me, I just couldn't bring myself to do it. Fu Lin let both hands hang at his sides, fists slightly clenched, looking up at me from below. His eyes were bright and black like a little beast. I raised my right hand. He blinked and didn't dodge. I gestured beside his face for a long time, moving 5 centimeters to the left, then 3 centimeters to the right. Damn it. I can't even bring myself to step on a caterpillar, and you want me to slap a 10-year-old kid. Countdown. 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7. I steeled myself and brought my hand down. I gave his but 2 light swats. I chided softly. That's for being naughty. That's for being naughty. Fuin was stunned. The weariness in those black eyes hadn't quite faded. Another layer of confusion had settled over it, and the 2 emotions piled together made him look a little dazed. Even the system froze for a moment. Host, the plot requires a slap across the face. I sent spanking still hitting. Isn't the butt part of his body? What does the butt count as inferior? Can be written into the plot. Don't be so rigid. I lectured the system in my mind. The most important thing as a system is to know how to adapt. Look, the plot requires me to hit him. So tell me, did I hit him or not? Between hitting the face and hitting the butt, for a boy, hitting the butt is more effective. Just look at how red Fuin's face has gotten. The system fell silent. Fuin was the villain in this book, with an unreliable father who was absent from home for years, abuse from a vicious stepmother during childhood, and alexithia in adulthood. He could not express his emotions normally. After meeting the heroine, he imprisoned her, and in the ending, he was killed by the male lead, dying in the second to last chapter of the story. And I, a poor, overworked wage slave in the real world, was now this vicious stepmother. So, you're not going to fight anymore. If you're done, I'm going to do my homework. Fu Lin walked expressionlessly to the desk and took out his textbooks one by one from his school bag. His school uniform collar was a little crooked, revealing the collar of an old t-shirt underneath. Sigh, he was still just a child. Fortunately, he was still just a child now. I walked over to him, raised my hand, and wanted to straighten his collar. He instinctively dodged a little. What are you doing? Still want to hit me? I sighed and reached out to straighten his collar. This time, Fu Lin didn't dodge, and a frown appeared on his previously expressionless face. After straightening his collar, I glanced around his room. My eyes fell on the corner of a photo under the pillow, where I could vaguely make out a woman's smiling face. I walked over and reached out to take it, but Fu Lin was faster than me. He lunged over at once, shoved the photo under the pillow, and stood in front of it, looking up at me with that wary little beast expression in his eyes again. I didn't steal anything, he said coldly. I pointed at the pillow. If you put the photo under the pillow, it'll get crushed. I'll find a frame for you tomorrow and put it on the table. He stared at me for a few seconds and said stiffly, none of your business. The system spoke. In this situation, isn't it time for another hit? I retorted at the system in my head. Hit, hit, hit. You only know how to hit. There are 100 ways to bully someone, and all you know is hitting. Are you new here with no experience, or something? I managed to bluff the system into silence, and it stammered. Why you? How did you know I'm an internist? No wonder. Don't give random orders anymore. Just follow my lead. Okay, I waved at Fuin. Hurry up and do your homework. After that, memorize 5 pages of English vocabulary. No sleeping until you're done memorizing them. Fuin stared at me with wide eyes. Me see that his pupils are literally shaking. System. Okay. Late at night, I was startled awake by the noise downstairs. I shuffling downstairs in my slippers and saw the living room lights on. Man was rummaging through the drawers for something. His suit was sharply tailored with crisp shoulders. and even standing under the warm light, he gave off an air of detachment. He heard the footsteps and looked up, sharp-featured and handsome, yet as cold and stern as frost. The butler somehow appeared out of nowhere and said softly, "Madam, Sir came back to get a document." Oh, Fu Yanting. There weren't many descriptions of him in the original novel. Later, he discovered the true face of the vicious stepmother and drove her out of the Fu family. But by then, Fuin's personality had already been twisted, and their father-son relationship could never go back to what it was. He tried to make amends, but Fuin would no longer accept anyone's kindness. To put it bluntly, he was also a man who didn't know how to be a father. Fu Yanting pulled a folder out of the drawer and turned to leave. He didn't say a word. The front door closed. TCH, this is the epitome of widow-style parenting. As I was turning to go upstairs, I caught sight of a pair of eyes peeking through the gaps in the railing on the second floor, hallway out of the corner of my eye. Fu Lin was crouching there, and I had no idea how long he'd been watching. His whole body was curled up into a tiny little ball. The front gate was shut tight, but his gaze was still fixed in its direction. When he noticed I was watching him, he stood up expressionlessly and turned to go back into the room. That night, I lay in bed tossing and turning, unable to sleep, my mind filled with the image of Fuin crouching behind the second floor railing. Sigh, I need to find a picture frame for him tomorrow. The next day, Fuin came home from school and locked himself in his room. Not long after, the door burst open with a bang. "Damn woman, you took my mom's photo." Fuin was standing at the second floor railing, shouting at me. I was downstairs ironing clothes. These expensive as hell clothes had barely been worn by the original owner. I planned to iron them and sell them, turning them into cash to save up and take back to my own world. The system popped up at just the right moment. Yes, 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 right now. How did you know to take his mother's photo? Good job. In the plot, you tear up the photo, he fights you to the death, and you use the iron to burn his thigh. I glanced at the iron in my hand. Did I scald your grandma's leg? I cursed the system in my heart. Furious. Are you even human? System. I guess I'm not human. Fu Lin rushed downstairs, his face red, his voice so agitated. It was a little hoarse. Where's my mom's photo? I calmly put down the iron. Are you stupid? A picture frame is supposed to be propped up. How can you put it under a pillow? Fuin froze for a moment, then suddenly turned and rushed upstairs. I kept ironing the clothes. The system. What did you do? Why didn't you go iron him host? If you don't complete the plot, you won't get the 10 million bonus, and you won't be able to go back either. If I can't get the bonus, that'll cost me my life. More importantly, if I can't go back, I won't be able to see my dear mom and dad and grandma anymore. I gritted my teeth, picked up the iron, and went upstairs. Fu Lin was sitting in a chair, staring blankly at the photo frame on the table. The woman in the picture frame was smiling with gently curved eyes and brows, clearly a gentlewoman at first glance. Hearing the noise I made, Fuin turned his head toward the doorway. When his gaze fell on the iron in my hand, he suddenly shuddered uncontrollably when he saw me walking toward him. Fuin's back instantly stiffened rigidly. His eyes turned red, and he wore the expression of someone waiting to be punished. When I raised my hand, he also instinctively lifted his own hand to shield his face. Both hands were shaking. I put the iron on the table. Then I pulled out a curling iron from behind my back with a backhanded motion under Fuin's shocked gaze. I began transforming into Mr. Tony. What are you doing? Fuin tried to resist. Don't move. You'll get burned. Fuin's mouth twitched, and he fell silent. So I curled his hair strand by strand into a French loose wave. He looked at himself in the mirror, his expression changing from confusion to shock, from shock to dazed bewilderment, and finally into a very complicated, indescribable look. The system screamed, "Host, the plot requires you to perm him." Perm him? Are you blind? Isn't this already permed? Isn't hair part of the body? Are hairs somehow inferior system? WL hair is indeed part of the body. Besides, a burn is pretty minor. Being publicly humiliated and watched by the whole class is way worse than a burn. The system was fooled by me again. That's true. Let me take another look. Putting down the curling iron, I suddenly remembered something, and while Fuin wasn't paying attention, lifted up his pant leg, inner thigh, several old scars of varying depths. I instantly felt a surge of anger. This original owner Fuin raised his eyes coldly. I quickly changed course. Why does this generally cylindrical thigh have so many injuries? Don't you know? He said calmly. Damn it. The original owner really wasn't human. I was holding an iron in my left hand and a curling iron in my right, just about to leave Fu Lin's room. He suddenly called out to me. You framing the photo doesn't mean anything. Huh, doesn't mean anything. How could that be? I turned back and winked at him. It has to mean something. You really love your mom. Fuin froze. Something seemed to flicker in his eyes. Love is just one word. I'll only say it once. You know, I'll only express it through actions. I hummed a tune as I went downstairs. Fu Lin went to school with his French-style loose curls. He didn't seem especially resistant to it. After all, my cooking skills are pretty good. In the afternoon, on a whim, I went to pick him up. Sure enough, from a distance, I saw several girls surrounding Fuin as he walked over. Fuin, where did you get your hair permed? So handsome, like that guy on TV. Can I touch it? Fu Lin kept a straight face and walked forward without looking sideways. His ears red. The system popped up gluily. Host, the social death you mentioned doesn't seem to have happened. You wouldn't understand. For a 10-year-old boy who's pretending to be aloof, the embarrassment of being watched by a bunch of girls lasts much longer than a burn the system. Is that so? Of course. You're just too inexperienced with this kind of thing in your first internship. Look at his expression, then look at his ears. They're practically burning red. The system suddenly understood. Okay. When Fuin saw me, he clearly froze for a moment, just as he was about to turn around and pretend not to know me. A boy about his age grabbed the strap of his backpack. Thief, give me back my watch. A few boys nearby also pushed away the girls who had originally been crowding around Fuin, shouting incessantly, You stole the watch and still won't admit it. If you want one, ask your mom to buy it for you. Oh, right, you don't have a mom. Fuin stood there, his face flushed red, his brows tightly knit, looking like he was about to explode, but hadn't yet. The system appears. Come on, the plot's moving. Use this excuse to publicly berate Fuin at the school gate. Make him unable to hold his head up. I thought for 2 seconds, then walked over. What's going on? The boy at the front glanced at me sideways. Who are you? I'm his mom. I pulled his hand off Fuin's backpack strap. Several boys were startled. A flicker of astonishment flashed in Fuin's eyes. I asked the boy, Did you just say he stole your watch? Yes. The boy raised an eyebrow. I asked Fuin, What do you have to say? Fuin stared fixedly at the ground and squeezed out 3 words through gritted teeth. I didn't. I turned to the boy again. Do you have any evidence? The boy stammered. Then why don't you let him explain why the watch I just lost is in his hands? I hurriedly grabbed Fuin's hand. Fuin, then you'd better keep an eye on yours. Don't let his get found while yours gets lost again. Fuin suddenly looked up at me. The boy was stunned, too, and when he came back to his senses, he still wouldn't let it go. What gives you the right to say this isn't mine? What gives you the right to say this is yours? Little student, defamation and slander can get you taken away by the police. You know, and you. I suddenly turned to Fuin, my tone changing into a scolding one. Fuin, now I really have to give you a proper talking to. Are you mute? Is your mouth just decoration on your face? Or is it only there so you can breathe? Someone pours dirty water all over you and you just stand there and take it. Why don't you dodge? Is your whole skeleton some failed attempt at evolving into a soft-bodied animal? Listen carefully from now on. If anyone dares to slander you with nothing but empty words, you don't need to explain yourself. Just tell them to go get their own special page opened at the police station. Fuin's face went pale and green in turns from what I said. A few boys scattered in all directions, and the one at the lead also grumbled and walked off into the distance. Fuin looked up at me. You trust me. If I don't trust you, should I trust that bunch of little brats? Fuin opened his mouth. but said nothing, a glimmer of tiny lights flickering in his eyes. A bewildered voice sounded from the system. Can I ask, is the plot over? I answered seriously. It's over. Didn't you see me denouncing him so fiercely? System, I feel like something's off. I said, what do you mean off? Fulin's face was going red and white, and he couldn't even lift his head. Didn't you see that? System, okay. At that moment, a pitiful voice sounded nearby. Please be gentler. Please be gentler. Several children carrying school bags were tugging at another little girl's braids. The girl's braid was almost falling apart. Yet, she was still saying, if you like this braided cord, then just take it. Damn it. Why are there so many bratty kids in this world? I was just about to go over. A woman suddenly rushed out. She flicked the forehead of every brat hard, and the group of kids fled in panic. Then she turned to the little girl and said, why are you such a coward? Why don't you fight back? The little girl quickly lowered her head. Mom is right. It's my fault. I'm too timid. The system reminded me on the side. This is the female lead. In Zai, when she was little, she also had a wicked stepmother. I remembered after meeting Fuin, the female lead. In Zai interpreted Fuin's rage as jealousy and saw his cold demands as needs. The female lead's attempts to please him kept feeding Fuin's desire for control, while Fuin's emotional ineptitude made the female lead sink deeper and deeper into the illusion of being needed. In the end, it was still the male lead who appeared and redeemed the female lead's body and mind. Stop saying this isn't good or that isn't good. In Zatsi, you're very good. You're extremely good. The woman's voice sounded somewhat anxious. You're the girl in the 9 heavens, 3 realms for seas, and 8 directions who deserves all the good things that happen the most. Wait, what did I just hear? The girl most deserving of all the good things happening in the 9 heavens, 3 realms, 4 seas, and 8 desolations. Isn't that my bestie's favorite line to say? Jean He, the woman, suddenly froze. She suddenly turned her head. The two of us met eyes. Su Shu Yao in the cafe. Jean He and I frantically exchanged information while both systems were away. The two of us gossiped to our heart's content. She said the system had ordered her to give the female lead spoiled, foul-smelling food. So she briskly took in Zai to eat Luo Sven with a fried egg. Hey, just tell me, does it smell bad or what? I also shared my French-style loose curls with her, just in case she might find them useful someday. 2. After we finished gossiping about the system, we gossiped about our 2 crappy dads. The crappy dads are bad in a very consistent way. They never showed up, leaving us to be raised in a widow-style parenting setup. At least I'd met Fu Yanting once. In Yuanzhou still hasn't shown up. Even now, leaving the kids with a wicked stepmother is bound to cause problems. Still, they were very generous with money, and on that point, we were both quite satisfied. Come to think of it, both of us were pretty poor in the real world. Jean Hai's parents died early, and she grew up living under someone else's roof. Her aunt wouldn't even let her go to college. She applied for a student loan herself and went off to study out of town with just a small bag. Actually, whether I go back or not doesn't really matter to me anymore. Even though I ended up becoming a mom unexpectedly over here, I've got a lovely daughter at home, lots of money, and an aunt helping out. Most importantly, my husband only gives money and never shows up. It's unbelievably great. Jean, he had no attachment to the real world. I was different. I have to go back. Grandma is still in the hospital, and Dad went back to the construction site before his back injury had healed, while Mom takes care of Grandma and works several jobs at the same time. Although every time I call, she tells me that everything at home is fine, that I should work hard and live well, and that I should keep all the money for myself. But I know that Mom and Dad are both holding on, sustained by their love for the family, even as their bodies are barely able to keep going. So after I graduated, I worked during the day and took on a part-time job at night, hoping to ease their burden and save up for my grandma's treatment. The waiter brought over the coffee, and the table next to them had milkshakes and cookies. Fuin and Inzai sat side by side with 1 seat's distance between them. Inzai pushed the 2 milkshakes in front of Fuin and asked cautiously, "Which one do you want to drink?" "Brother, you choose first." Fuin didn't move. She turned the straw a little closer to his hand, stopping right in front of him. "Bro, do you want the strawberry flavor?" Fuin quickly glanced at Zai. "No need." Oh, Fuin had already been dragged over by me against his will, and at this moment, he was sitting there as cold and distant as an iceberg. And Zai blinked and sat up immediately. After 3 seconds, she pushed the cookies on the plate a little closer to him again. "Brother, you eat." Jean Hai and I exchanged a glance and both shook our heads. Being too sensible is wrong. Being too cold is wrong. Suddenly, the cookie plate was pushed back halfway again. Fuin said in a low voice, "Half each." Yoon JJ's eyes lit up. She turned to look at Kim Hak, as if waiting for permission. Kim Hak curled his lip. "Did you forget what I said? Listen to your own heart." Yoon JJ hurriedly chimed in, carefully picking up the cookie. She flattered him by waving it toward Fuin. "Brother, then I'm going to eat it. I don't even know how the original owner mistreated her." "Jean," he said through clenched teeth, "just wait. I'll definitely make her the girl most deserving of good things happening in the 9 heavens, 3 realms, 4 seas, and 8 desolations." The system started urging again. "Host, the plot progress is lagging behind. You need to find a way to continue abusing the villain." I was in the kitchen studying recipes, not even lifting my head. "What's the rush? I have a very nasty plan." "Oh, what plan?" "Swindle his money." The system fell silent for 2 seconds. Think about it. A 10-year-old kid, after painstakingly saving up his allowance, gets swindled out of all of it by me. Isn't that a lot more psychologically damaging than giving him a beating? This is called mental fraud. Sure enough, I managed to fool the system again. Okay. Fuin's Kids watch has payment functions linked to it with no spending limit set. The original owner treated him terribly in terms of food, clothing, and daily necessities. Even so, Fuin never spent Fu Yanting's money. I've been here for so long, and I really haven't seen him buy himself anything. I studied the recipes carefully, and after spending half a day busy in the kitchen, I put together a table full of sumptuous dishes. After finishing his homework, Fuin walked downstairs, his eyes full of confusion. He lifted his eyes to look at me. "What does this mean?" "Exactly what it looks like," I said proudly, making a grand, inviting gesture. "Absolutely chef level." Fuin stood still, looking at me wearily. "What kind of scheme have you been plotting lately?" No. It's an open scheme," I said, squinting at his watch. "I'm short on cash lately. Your watch can make payments." "Right. Let's make a deal. I'll provide the goods. You'll pay. How about that?" I started rattling off the dishes. Listen carefully. 2 cold dishes. Crystal pigs, trotter dipped in garlic paste. Peanuts with aged vinegar, fried until crisp for hot dishes. Sweet and sour pork tenderloin with golden threads. Kung Pao chicken with a savory, spicy aroma. Steamed sea bass with tender slices cut through. Dry fried green beans with wrinkled tiger skin texture. 2 baskets of dim sum. 1 basket of crab roe soup dumplings with straws. Inserted 1 basket of shrimp dumplings translucent enough to see through. And finally, 1 soup. Sour and spicy cuttlefish and egg drop soup. Pepper smell straight to your nose. 1 bowl of that, and let me tell you what happens. You'll be sweating all over and feel completely refreshed. Fu Lin was stunned. 500 yuan. "Here, scan it." I handed over the payment code. Fuin looked at the spread of dishes on the table and swallowed. Hesitantly, he raised his wrist, and with a beep, 500 yuan was credited. Well, that was fast. All gone. So, the 2 of us ended up forming a stable, transactional relationship. A lot of Fuin's clothes were worn out or too short, so I bought him a whole wardrobe of new clothes. He paid 30,000 yuan, and I made 10,000 yuan off him. Sometimes I tutored him on his homework. 500 yuan a session. I took him out for barbecue, Japanese food, and desserts. Eat. It cost at least 1,000 yuan each time. The system sounded a little uncertain. "Host, Why do I feel like he seems to be enjoying it quite a bit? I lectured him. You don't understand. The krillest kind is to boil the frog in warm water. By the time he realizes what's happening, all his money will have been tricked away by me. That's what you call abuse. The system. Okay, okay. Once Fu Lin stood in front of a shop window, staring blankly at a model airplane. I told him, if you want to buy it, then buy it. Spending money on yourself is the truest way to love yourself. Fu Yin was somewhat moved, and he began to learn to buy things for himself. All kinds of books, all kinds of models, telescopes, microscopes. The system said softly. He's been spending money pretty happily lately. Of course, the first step of the consumerist trap. I reassured the system not to worry. That evening, Fu Yanting unexpectedly showed up at the dinner table. He had just returned from a business trip, and perhaps because he'd changed out of his suit into casual home clothes, he seemed a little less stern than usual. He even looked rather husband-like. Unfortunately, he's a terrible dad. There were 4 dishes and a soup on the table. Fu Lin kept his head down as he ate, and Fu Yanting said nothing either. Halfway through the meal, Fu Lin suddenly raised his wrist toward me. Code. Fu Yanting froze. I hurriedly explained. Don't misunderstand. He's not saying mom. He's saying code. I emphasized both the first tone and the third tone. When transferring 500 yuan, Fu Yin and I moved very naturally. Fu Yanting's chopsticks froze. He looked at Fu Yin, then at me, his gaze shifting back and forth between the two of us several times. Fu Yin, I've noticed you've been spending money a bit lately. Fu Yin looked at his dad. Fu Yanting quickly changed his tune. That's great. You never used to spend money before. Buying yourself something you like now, and then is very good. Fu Yin let out a sullen, However, why Fu Yanting looked at me. Is it that all your payment recipients are her? I put away my phone and smiled at him. That SS secret. Fu Yanting looked at Fu Yin, and Fu Lin let out another sullen, Fu Yanting did not press the matter further. That evening, Fu Yin was doing his homework while I sorted the new clothes I'd bought for him beside him. I'd made 5,000 yuan from this deal. He suddenly asked, Are you really that short on money? I nodded. Yeah, my grandma's surgery will cost a lot of money. And my dad rushed back to the construction site before his back injury had even healed. My mom worked several jobs by herself. My hands paused for a moment as I folded the new clothes. She hasn't bought herself new clothes in many, many years. He turned back to look at me. Your family is like this. Don't you really hate me? It's normal that you don't know me. No. Fu Lin frowned. You. He didn't go on. After a moment of silence, he asked me again, Is money really that important? Of course. It's important. I nodded vigorously. Money can solve many problems and make life less hard for my family. He said nothing. I kept folding the clothes. Suddenly, I have a lot of money. Fu Yin said softly, but I don't have any family. I stood up, walked over, and pulled him into my arms. His body stiffened for a moment, but he didn't struggle. Instead, he slowly relaxed. You're cursing your dad. And besides, I said, I'm family, too. He grunted sullenly. You only like my money. Nonsense. I like you as a person. I paused. And your money. Fu Yin probably couldn't hold it in and actually let out a laugh, but then quickly put on a stern face again. What a stubborn, awkward person. I followed Fu Yin's gaze and looked over. A person was standing at the doorway. It was Fu Yanting. I didn't know when he had arrived. The warm light fell on his face, and that usually cold expression now had an indescribable softness to it. He said nothing and turned to leave. I packed Fu Yin's clothes and found that Fu Yanting was still working in the study. The original book didn't dwell much on Fu Yin's family of origin. It was all just brushed over in passing. But my intuition told me that Fu Yanting didn't like the original owner. So, when I returned to my room after finishing my shower and found Fu Yanting sitting on the sofa by the bed reading a book, I couldn't help but scream. I pressed my whole body against the bathroom door frame. What are you doing here? Fu Yanting put down the book, getting ready to take a shower and go to bed. I blurted out, Is this your room? And you're just going to take a shower and go to sleep? Isn't this my room? He sounded a little doubtful after hearing me and looked around. Isn't this the master bedroom? that I was so anxious I couldn't get the words out. Oh, Fu Yanting seemed to have discovered something. I used to stay in the guest room whenever I came back, so that must have caused some misunderstanding. Sorry, what? That project overseas has already come to an end. This time I can stay for quite a while. So Fu Yanting looked at me, his eyes deep and unreadable. I'd like to move back into the master bedroom. You don't have any objections, do you? I have a huge objection, even though you are pretty handsome. But when I looked at Fu Yanting's post-bath figure, all I could say was I had no choice but to give in. I lay down stiffly, pulled the covers over myself stiffly, and stared at the ceiling stiffly. The spot beside me sank a little, then went still. It was quiet for a long time. Are you short of money? He suddenly asked. What? Fewin gave you so much money. I sat up abruptly. You think I'm scamming him for money? Fu Yanting. I didn't give him a chance to speak. I had long wanted to scold him. Fu Yanting, I know you're busy, but even if you're busy, you can't just not care about your son at all, can you? Boys at this age are the most sensitive, and it's also when they need their father the most. Where were you? And now you're suddenly showing up to play. Dad Fu Yanting also sat up looking a bit embarrassed. I kept going. Do you know he likes sweet and sour pork tenderloin and basil chicken sandwiches? Do you know he especially likes using a telescope to look at the moon? Do you know that when he can't sleep at night, just watching Peppa Pig can put him to sleep in 1 second? Do you know that when he was falsely accused of stealing, he once couldn't even defend himself? And do you know that the reason he doesn't know how to love himself or love others is because he has never truly been loved? You don't know anything. All you do is give money and then think that makes you a father. After I finished, I slid down and lay back again, pulling the blanket up to my chin. Oh no, after that passionate outburst of mine, he won't get angry, will he? Mainly because I really couldn't hold it in anymore. Fu Yanting said nothing. A moment later, a very soft sigh came from above. You're right, I'll make it up to you. Huh, wait, something flashed past the doorway. Although there was an extra person beside me, I slept very well that night. On the weekend, Jean Hai and I made plans to take the 2 kids out shopping. Fewin surprisingly agreed. Jean Hay took us straight to a second-hand vintage clothing store. She picked up a floral dress. Zai, does this one look good? And Zai immediately nodded. It looks good. Jean, he picked up a plaid one. What about this one? That one looks good, too. How about this one? Looks great. Looks great. Jean, he put all 3 dresses back, then squatted down to meet Inzai at eye level. Zai, let me ask you a question. Inzai stood obediently in place, wearing a standard smile on his face, as if ready at any moment to give the right answer. Were those things you just said were pretty, really pretty to you, or only because I picked them? Enzi's smile froze for a moment. I think everything Mom picked is pretty. Then which one do you like yourself? Enzi's eyes gaze swept quickly across the clothes rack, then returned to Gina's face as she carefully observed her expression. I like whichever one Mommy likes. Jinhee took a deep breath and placed both hands on Aine's shoulders. Sai, do you remember what Mom told you? If you like something, say you like it. If you don't like it, say you don't like it. You have to listen to what your heart wants. And Zai blinked, her voice very soft. But I want to make Mom happy. I know. Jean, his voice softened. But do you know something? Only when you're happy will I truly be happy. Enzi's eye froze. She lowered her head and stared at the tips of her shoes for a long time. Then she slowly raised her head, her gaze shifting away from Jean, his face, and for the first time really looking at those clothing racks. Her eyes came to rest on the pale yellow dress at the very edge. Enzi's eyes, fingers twitched, but she didn't dare reach out. Do you like that one, Jean? He asked. Jean's eye bit her lip and nodded. Very, very slightly, then quickly added, but if Mom thinks it doesn't look good. Jean's eye. Jean, he could no longer hold back. She tightly embraced the tiny Zai, her eyes missing after holding her for a long while. Jean, he finally let go and looked at Zai seriously. Zai, Mom has to tell you one more very important thing. And Zai nodded. Mom, go ahead. I'm listening. The person you need to please the most is yourself. Understand? Enzi pouted and her eyes instantly turned red. Mom, I like it. Her voice trembling slightly as tears pattered down. I like that yellow dress. When Yoon JJ came out of the fitting room, she looked as if she were glowing. She spun around and the hem of her dress lifted. Mom, look. Realizing she had shouted too loudly, Yunj instinctively covered her mouth. Jean, he walked over and pulled her hands down. You don't have to cover it up. Laugh when you're happy. Shout it out when you like something. Enzi nodded emphatically. I nudged Fuin beside me with my elbow. Does Zai look good? Fuin's ears turned red. What's there to look at? This dress. He stared at the ground. It's okay. Z on the ground. I leaned close to his ear and said, if you think something is good, you should say it out loud. If you don't say it, no one else will know, and you'll bottle it up yourself. 2. Whether you like someone, admire someone, or want to treat someone well, you have to let her know first that you think she's wonderful. Fuin was silent for a few seconds, then raised his head to look at Anai. Z is very pretty. Fuin's voice was very soft, but we all heard it. And Zai broke into a big smile. Thank you, brother. After coming out of the vintage store, the 4 of us swept through the street in a grand procession. Zai was wearing a goose yellow dress, hopping and skipping along. Fu Lin had more and more bags in his hands. 5 in his left hand and 4 in his right ran over. Brother, let me help you carry a few. She reached out to grab the bags. Fuin stepped back. No need, but it's really heavy. You girls just need to buy it. Fuin was rarely this gentle. Zai's hand stopped in midair. She didn't insist, as she used to, saying, let me help you instead. Nor did she flatter him by saying, you're so nice, big brother. She withdrew her hand, tucked it behind her back, tilted her head, and smiled at Fuin. Okay, thanks, brother. Sweet and natural, graceful and generous. Fuin's ears turned red again. Jean Hai and I walked behind, watching the 2 small figures ahead. We exchanged smiles. At that moment, the system suddenly popped up. Host, something is very, very wrong. Me system. I had just talked with the colleague in charge of the heroine's evil stepmother. He said that this time the stepmother's task was to dress the heroine in old clothes. But instead, the stepmother dressed her in vintage clothes. What's wrong with that? I'm vintage clothes, old clothes system. I thought so too at first, but my colleague said it doesn't fit the task setting. Then I told him about the task situation between us. Guess what he said? What did he say? System, you too are exploiting a bug here. Oh, this system is way too smart. I quickly said with a straight face, don't listen to that coworker's nonsense. Can you trust what a coworker says? A coworker's mouth is a liar's ghost. Be careful, he doesn't trick you into missing your probation. The system said nothing, seeming to have been startled by me. After shopping and coming home, I opened the door and immediately smelled a burning odor. Fu Lin followed behind me, sniffed and said, the kitchen. I rushed into the kitchen. Fu Yanting was standing in front of the stove, with his shirt, sleeves rolled up to his elbows, and his tie thrown over his back. In front of him was a pot, and in the pot was a black mass of matter that was impossible to recognize in its original form. Hearing the commotion, Fu Yanting turned his head. I'm cooking me. You're burning charcoal. He lowered his head and looked at the stuff in the pot and said nothing in response. I'll do it. Fuin walked over. He pulled over a small stool to stand on, switched to another pan, poured in oil, cracked in the eggs, and stir-fried them. His movements were smooth and practiced. Clearly not his first time. Fu Yanting looked at his back, his atoms apple-bobbing once. Fuin, when did you learn that? Fuin didn't look back. She taught me, I said, confidently. A survival skill, not like you. You'd starve to death. Fu Yanting used silence to express his agreement. 3 bowls of vegetable and egg noodles made by Fuin didn't taste as good as mine, but they were much better than Fu Yanting's pot of charcoal. Fuin took a few bites, then suddenly put down his chopsticks and looked at Fu Yanting. Dad, are you trying to curry favor with Mom by cooking? Probably not expecting his son to say something like that. The expression on Fu Yanting's face froze for a moment. The noodles in my mouth also slipped down. Fuin called me mom for the first time, catching me completely off guard. If you think someone is good, you have to say it out loud. Fuin went on. If you don't say it, mom won't know, and you'll be bottling it up yourself. 2. Whether you like someone, admire someone, or want to be good to someone, you have to let her know first that you think she's wonderful. My chopsticks froze in midair. My nose suddenly felt a little sore. He's right, Fu Yanting suddenly said. I'm not very good with words. He put down his chopsticks. And I'm not very good at being a father either. Or at being. Anyway, Su Shuyao, I want to get to know you again. And I also hope you can get to know me again. Wait, did you call me Su Shuyao? Fu Yanting nodded. I'm very sorry. I never properly called you by your name before. Shuyao, that's not the point. The point is, I'm also called Su Shuyao in this world. Fu Lin stared at me for a moment, then turned to his dad. I'll introduce you to her. She's especially money hungry. Fu Yanting immediately took out his phone from his pocket and tapped it a few times. My phone buzzed. Bank transfer alert. 10 million. 10 million. The bonus is already in hand. I blurted out. Fu Yanting looked puzzled. What bonus? Nothing. Nothing. Fu Lin lowered his head and laughed. This kid's got some skills, now that the bonus was in hand. The next step was to figure out a way to go home. The system has started pushing me to squeeze myself even harder again. That night, I walked into Fuin's room carrying a stack of materials and slapped it down on his desk. Memorize 30 more words a day and do one more math paper. Fuin stared at the stack of materials, then glared at me. You repay kindness with enmity. One thing at a time. Turn around, muttering under his breath. Fuin opened his book and obediently began copying the vocabulary words. The day the results came out, Fuin shot up from the bottom ranks into the top 10 in the class. When I was on the phone with Jean Hay that evening, she sent a photo over. Zai was standing on the podium, smiling confidently and graciously. Election for class monitor passed unanimously. Our Zai is amazing. By the way, Jean, he suddenly lowered her voice. Enuano is back. The missing husband has shown up. Yes, she paused. And he's a total hunk. Way more handsome than in the photos. So he have even more firmly decided not to go back. But he's a terrible dad. He was sent abroad for work, so he couldn't come back all this time. Actually, he's always kept in touch with us through phone and video calls before the original host abused Zai. And Zai was too scared to say anything, which is why they developed a people-leasing personality. Later, when he came back, he kicked the original host out. But, there's always some distance between a father and daughter. So, the relationship between the two of them never really healed. But now that I'm here, it's different. And when he came back, he brought Zai lots and lots of gifts. These past few days, he's also bought me a lot of gifts. He said he felt deeply sorry for us for the years he spent abroad and wanted to make it up to us as much as he could. Jean, he spoke nonstop. It was clear she intended to settle down here. By the way, she changed the subject. My system went to headquarters to report the situation. I grew alert. Report what? To report that I turned the plot into a heartwarming slice of life, nurturing routine. And also to report your situation. My heart sank. Just then, my system popped up. Host, my colleague submitted an operational report on this world to headquarters. Said the plot has seriously deviated. Headquarters may reassess my internship eligibility. Host, am I about to lose my job? Then it burst into tears. It was really crying. In my mind, I heard a burst of electronic sobbing mixed with intermittent static. Don't cry, don't cry. I hurriedly comforted it. Listen to me. Look, other systems only rigidly carry out tasks. But you figured out a brand new way to complete the task through practice. The system stopped crying. A brand new path. Yeah, look at Fuin. He memorizes 30 words a day now. Isn't that brutal enough? His childhood is filled with English vocabulary. Isn't that miserable enough? The system fell silent for a few seconds. That does seem pretty brutal. And his grades are improving, too. Do you know what that means? It means he'll memorize even more words. do even more reading comprehension, get into a better school, and then memorize even more words. This is a sustainable abuse industry chain. Okay, okay, the system's voice brightened again. Then I'm the intern system that understands innovation and execution the best at headquarters. Yes, yes, yes. Then I'll go write the report right away. The system disappeared joyfully. I lay on the bed staring at the ceiling. Sigh. Headquarters probably won't be so easily fooled anymore. I don't know. Can I still go back? While waiting for those stupid system messages, I realized Fuin's birthday was coming up soon. I remember there was a line in the original book. Fuin never celebrated his birthday. Then, let's start living from now on. I began secretly making plans. Fuin's birthday fell on a weekend. Sure enough, he didn't mention a thing all day. He only made 2 bowls of vegetable and egg noodles at noon. One for me and one for himself. At 4:00 in the afternoon, the doorbell rang. Fu Lin went to open the door. Jean. He stood at the doorway holding a cake in his left hand and Enzi's hand in his right. Zai was wearing a sky blue dress like a little princess. In her hands, she held a gift box wrapped all crookedly, seeing Fuin. She shouted happily, "Brother, happy birthday." I wrapped the gift myself. Zai held up the box, looking extremely proud. Fuin turned to look at me. I grinned and made a heart gesture with my hands. Happy 11th birthday. Fuin suddenly turned around and ran up the stairs in a hurry. This completely unexpected move left Jean, he, and me staring at each other in bewilderment. Z also looked a little confused. What's wrong with brother? Maybe Jean, he said, holding her hand as he led her into the house. The light outside the door is too dazzling. Let's hurry inside. Won't you wait for Dad? Dad hasn't even parked the car yet. Dad's here. A clear voice rang out, and at the doorway stood a man wearing a beige cardigan. His features were gentle and refined, handsome and elegant. He must be Inuano. Dad. Inzai charged over like a little cannonball. Inuanho caught her in one arm and lifted her up, spinning her around. Inzai giggled, her skirt fluttering up. Inuanho set Zai down and extended his hand toward me. Hello, I'm Inuanho. I've been hearing about you from Jinhee for a long time. I also reached out my hand. Hello, Su Shuyao. I haven't really heard Jinhee mention you much. Inuano burst out laughing. Then we should thank you for not gossiping about us husbands. These husbands. Fu Yanting appeared behind Inuano with his left hand holding the box and his right hand carrying a carton. You finally made it back, I said, pointing at the Jinha family. Take good care of our honored guests. I'll go get Fuin. Fu Yanting nodded. Okay. A small crack appeared in Fuin's room door. I didn't push the door open right away. Instead, I knocked and said, Fool, may I come in? After a while, a muffled M came from inside. I walked into the room. Fuin was sitting by the bed, his eyes red and swollen, clearly having just cried. I sat down next to him. I'm sorry. I didn't discuss it with you. Will you leave? Fu Lin suddenly looked up, staring straight at me. I froze for 2 seconds, and for some reason, I suddenly felt guilty. Leave, leave. Where would I go? I don't know. Fu Lin kept staring at me. Maybe back to the home where your dad, mom, and grandma are. That I'm going back to my own home. Isn't that perfectly normal? But as far as I know, Su Yao's home isn't what you said. Fuin paused. I'm talking about the previous Su Yao. I was startled. You already know. He stared at me for a long time. Suddenly, it was as if all the strength had been drained from him, and he let his head droop, helplessly. Sure enough, you're going to leave, aren't you? Just like Mom. My nose stung with tears, and I couldn't help but hold him in my arms. The 11-year-old boy held in my arms was still really just a little bundle. The sound of sobbing came from my arms. Birthday wish. Does it really come true? Come on. Fu Lin suddenly broke free from my embrace and stood up. Let's go celebrate my birthday downstairs. Jean, he was watching cartoons. Fu Yanting and Inuanjo were chatting on the balcony. Jean, he tilted his chin toward the balcony. They're talking about which middle school is better and planning to donate a building. Fine, fine. Let's forgive them once more for their inaction before seeing us come downstairs. The two of them also walked into the house. Zai jumped up from the sofa, led Fuin to the pile of gifts, and pointed at a crooked little gift box. This is mine. Open mine first. But Fu Lin's gaze was drawn to several gift boxes of different sizes. Written on those gift boxes were 1 year old, 2 years old, 3 years old, 4 years old, all the way up to 11 years old. Tears welled up in Fuin's eyes at once. Fu Yanting's eyes also turned red. He looked at me and silently mouthed, "Thank you." The first, the second, the third. Fuin slowly unwrapped the gifts. Tears fell onto the wrapping paper, spreading across the colorful surface. He raised the back of his hand to wipe his eyes, but after wiping them, more tears kept welling up. I wanted to make the atmosphere feel a little lighter, so I said loudly, "Fool, which one do you like best?" Just as Su Chong was thinking. Before I could even finish speaking, I finally couldn't hold back and burst into tears while laughing. Jean, he was crying, too. Z, she was crying even louder. Only Inuano originally wanted to laugh, but seeing everyone else crying, he ended up with a smile uglier than tears. After the gift opening segment, full of both tears and laughter, Fuin hurried to make a wish. The candles were lit and the tiny flames flickered on the cake. Fuin sat in front of the cake, candlelight reflecting on his face. He looked at the candle, his expression resolute. Then he closed his eyes. It was a long while before he opened them again. Taking a deep breath, he blew out the candle. Jean, he teased him. Did you make 1,001 wishes or something? Fuin shook his head. Only one wish. After saying that, he looked at me feeling guilty. I turned my head away. Meanwhile, Zai was eating cake and chattering nonstop. Brother, the cake is so delicious. Brother, do you like my gift? Brother, I'll celebrate your birthday with you every year from now on. Fu Lin wiped the cream from her mouth and nodded gently. Okay, Jean Hai and I both had the expression of having been utterly shipperfied. Fu Yanting also looked relieved and gratified. Only Enuano had a dark expression on his face. The next morning, the moment I opened my eyes, my mind exploded. It was my dumb system back again. Host, host, host. Headquarters approved it. Headquarters approved it. The system was so excited it could barely contain itself. Headquarters said readers really love the new plotline. The data has skyrocketed. Headquarters has never seen this kind of move before. They said, wait, I cut it off first. Tell me, does that count as completing the mission? The system paused for a moment. Count it, but not really. What do you mean, the systems? Tone became formal. Here's the thing. Host Fu Lin has been upgraded to the male lead. What? The original male lead was voted out by readers. Fuin is now the male lead. Headquarters says that since Fuin is the male lead as the male lead stepmother, you'll definitely need to be involved in the later plot. Readers really like you and Ms. Jean Hay. If they replace you, the data could collapse. So, I can't go back. You can go back, the system hurriedly said. Headquarters says that given how well you've completed your mission, they can immediately grant your return access. I can then rebind a new host here to continue with the new storyline. Oh, host, are you unhappy? Didn't you always want to go back? Being able to go back is certainly good. Being able to go back is certainly good. I murmured. The door was pushed open. Fuin stood at the doorway. I knew it. His voice was trembling. Fuin. I hurriedly stood up. Are you leaving? I opened my mouth, but no words came out. His eyes turned red all at once. Don't you want me and Dad anymore? Those words were like a little knife stabbing straight into my chest. He stood there, tears spilling from his eyes and rolling down his cheeks. I walked over and reached out to wipe away his tears. In that world, my family is still there. I said softly, I have to go back. His tears flowed even more fiercely. I held him in my arms, and we cried together. After a long while, he pushed me away and raised his hand to roughly wipe his face with the back of it. Is the money enough? I froze. Is the surgery fee for your grandmother enough? He sniffled, his voice still thick with tears. I'll ask Dad to give you lots and lots more money. My tears welled up again. Fuin, you too. Suddenly, The system's excited voice sounded host. The return channel has been opened. Wishing you a pleasant journey back. Wait, I haven't told Fuin yet. He's my family, too. I opened my eyes again, and I was back in reality as a millionaire. I really did give my family a good life. I hired the best doctors, and grandma's surgery was a success. I moved us into a big house, and even the bathroom was bigger than our old home. I built a huge wardrobe especially for my mom. I took my dad for a full course of physical therapy. Everything is going well. I should be happy still. I often think of Jean Hai, Zai, and Fu Yanting. As for Fuin, I think of him every day, every hour, every minute. One night, I had a dream in the dream. Fu Lin was standing behind the second floor railing, curled up into a tiny little bundle, staring fixedly at that door that seemed as if it would never open again. When I woke up, part of my pillow was wet. That night, I opened my eyes. Beneath me was the familiar sofa. Across from me, the familiar TV wall. To my left, the familiar floor, toe-ceiling window. And beyond the window, the familiar garden. I had that dream again. The system's voice suddenly popped up. Host, you're back. I was startled. Why are you still here in my dream? The system chuckled twice. Here's what happened. After you left, I rebound to a new host to continue the mission. But Fu Yanting didn't like her. Fu Lin didn't like her either. And most importantly, the readers didn't like her, which caused the data to plummet. After weighing things repeatedly, headquarters approved a special exception and let you come back to continue the mission. But you can freely travel between two worlds. The system's tone was bursting with pride, and time can be continuous. That is to say, no matter how long you stay on this side, only 1 second passes when you go back. Likewise, no matter how long you stay over there, only 1 second passes when you return. Cool, right? Before I could fully process the news, footsteps sounded on the stairs. Fu Yanting came down. He was wearing loungewear. His hair was a bit unkempt, and a few strands hung down over his forehead. Seeing me sitting on the sofa, he said coldly, "Please show some self-respect. The child is still at home." I looked down at myself. A lace camisole nightgown. Wait, a bit sheer. Oh my God. I grabbed the blanket off the sofa and wrapped myself up from head to toe. Are you allowed to look at this? I'll poke your eyes out. Fu Yanting froze completely. He turned around and stared at me on that cold, detached face. His expression cracked open layer by layer, from indifference to uncertainty, from uncertainty to disbelief, from disbelief to a cautious, as if afraid it might shatter. Is it you? His voice was very soft before I could answer. A head peered out from behind the railing on the second floor corridor, eyes like black glass beads, staring straight at me. It's you, confirmed almost instantly. The birthday wish really came true. Fu Lin ran downstairs excitedly. He rushed over and hugged me, wrapped up like a dumpling. Tears soaked my neck. Emma, I'm back. I gently stroked the boy, who was crying so hard he could barely catch his breath. Because my family is here, too. The second story. I was dragged into a strange group chat with the entire class named High Temperature Apocalypse. Everyone chose safe houses in the wilderness or areas rich in water resources. I picked a high-rise apartment with no water or electricity. The school beauty mocked me, and no one was willing to team up with me, betting that I'd die within 3 days. When choosing powers, everyone picked spatial or water-based abilities. I chose reverse photosynthesis, which allows me to gain energy from air, humidity. The group immediately muted me, not wanting to see my desperate pleas for help. After the system revoked team and admin functions, everyone saw the group name had been reset. Apocalyptic downpour. On that sweltering summer day, my entire class was dragged into a strange group chat. Hello, 50 hosts. I am the end time system. Survive in this game for 1 week and you'll receive a prize of 100 million. After speaking, as if anticipating someone would question it, it directly sent a 1 million yuan red envelope in the group. Students who originally thought it was a prank or scam immediately got excited and scrambled to split the red envelope. Wow, I won't have to worry about money for the rest of my life after 1 week. Open it quickly, open it quickly. Only the Vice Squad leader, Zhou Ishuan felt puzzled. What if we don't complete it? Will we die? If everyone is eliminated, the game restarts. If there's a winner, the game closes. Those who quit midway must refund 1 million. Everyone immediately exploded in anger, and those who didn't grab the red packet kept complaining about injustice. It's definitely a scam. I'm leaving the group. Go ahead and leave. It'll be a perfect test to see if they really return 1 million. Yet, half a day passed, and the number of people didn't decrease. Everyone was successfully trapped. The group leader didn't dwell on the matter further and instead presented an option. Choose a safe house. 1. A 20th floor apartment in a downtown residential complex in a first-tier city with water and electricity cut off. 2. A rural cottage where you can farm. 3. Deserted island, abundant food supply. 4. Urban air raid shelter, sturdy entrance, relatively low temperature. 5. Food factory, rich in resource reserves. Team leader, pick the food factory. You can oversee the resources. And besides, you always like to meddle in other people's business. Yeah, monitor. Only then can we be merciful enough to group up with you. In the end, no one picked number 1 except me. School beauty G. Ran dramatically explained a few times. Monitor. Are you crazy? In a high-temperature apocalypse with no water or electricity in high-rise buildings, you'll probably be dried up into a human mummy by the 3rd day. Could it be that you just picked it to seem cool for living in the city without actually thinking it through? And you're the class monitor. 2. How silly. The school beauty is usually the center of attention. And when she said that, several guys agreed and laughed at me, causing even a few classmates who were about to pick option 1 to cancel and choose something else. 5 minutes passed, options closed, and the group admin spoke again. Each host is a temporary administrator. If your options match, you can choose teammates, and teammates are automatically assigned to the same safe house. G. Ran immediately became excited. Who else has picked the island like me? We can throw a party there. As soon as she said that, over 10 guys applied to team up with her. She was overjoyed, provokingly tagging me. Oh my, so many classmates want to be on my team. Why not spare a few to form a group with class monitor at Lin Fei? It's so pitiful that no one picked her. Yes, everyone had formed teams except me, after being mocked dozens of times. Zhou Yishuan finally stepped in to restore order. Everyone, stop fighting among yourselves. Moderator, when do we start? There is another option. The supernatural ability for the coming week. 1. An inexhaustible supply of fresh water. 2. A body of steel that is invulnerable to all poisons. 3. Teleportation. 4. Infinite storage space. 5. Reverse photosynthesis. The group immediately became serious, launching into a thorough analysis of how these superpowers could be applied for survival in high temperatures. Ji Ran got excited and gave some completely irrelevant advice, making the guys chasing her choose fresh water resources, justifying it as a way to improve their survival rate. She herself picked infinite storage space. I can help everyone keep the resources safe and avoid conflicts. After all, you're all my good babies. Shou Yixuan chose teleportation. I can instantly go to wherever you are to save you. In the end, no one picked 5, except me, but mocked by dozens again. What kind of weird ability is this? It's like some question writer threw it in just to show off their knowledge. Ha ha ha. What on earth did the class monitor pick? Doesn't this make you hungrier instead of feeding you? Won't you die faster? Must have gone crazy from studying too much. Good thing we're not in the same safe house as her. Some people usually act like moral paragons, but now they only care about choosing random superpowers for themselves, not even learning from the school beauty who actively thinks for everyone. I still say nothing, lying flat and accepting the mockery. Shou Yixuan, however, seems to have vaguely sensed something and privately messages me. Why are you being so foolish? You'll be eliminated very quickly like this. Are you still mad at me for not accepting your confession? Trying to make me worry this way. I rolled my eyes and blocked him, returning to the group. Everyone had already confirmed their choices, and the group leader spoke again. Preparations complete. The game is about to begin. Admin privileges will be disabled on the third day, so everyone can modify their teams before then. Starting to deploy safe houses. Day 1. Xiaoyu. The house I'm in is calm, with only the pattering sound of rain. G11 at all members. Did you see it's raining? It definitely has to rain to cool down before the heat wave. Then immediately sent a small head shaking emoji. Some people at Lin Fei. Now you know to be afraid. Right. While it's not too hot today, quickly grab a basin to collect water. Tomorrow when the sun comes out, your crappy rooftop will directly turn into an oven. Don't come crying to leave the group the next day, embarrassing yourself. Those who were initially puzzled by the rain immediately became lively, all praising her for being clever. Zhou Ishuan's message seemed very inappropriate. At Lin Fei, how's your situation? Did you find any supplies in the safe house? This concerned inquiry triggered Ji Ranran's displeasure. Deputy squad leader, why do you care so much about her? If you were so worried about her, why didn't you team up with her back then? Now you feel sorry for her. Then go find her yourself. Humph, followed by a string of exaggerated emoticons. Zhou Ishuan fell silent. The group chat was eerily quiet for a few seconds. Only the faint sound of raindrops tapping against the window could be heard. Soon a fawning admirer of Ji Ran Yen stepped forward, directly targeting me. What's wrong with the vice monitor caring about everyone's safety? Lin Fei, you brought this on yourself. Don't drag the vice monitor into getting scolded by Ran Yen. Exactly. She's annoying to look at. Let's mute her. Otherwise, when she actually dies, she'll be wailing for help in the group chat, wasting resources and spoiling everyone's mood. Anyway, 0 people want to save her. Admin Wang Chong has muted Lin Fei. A cold system notification popped up on my phone screen. No one said a word for me. Fine. At least it's quiet. I put down my phone and started searching the apartment. The space wasn't large. The layout was square, but it was completely empty. Not even a single grain of rice. Finally, I pushed open the balcony door and took a deep breath, filling my body with the scent of water molecules in the air. Reverse photosynthesis. Just having water molecules is enough to replenish my energy. This time, I won't have to suffer headaches from any resource shortages. I feel refreshed and a slight hunger has disappeared. I sealed all the windows except the balcony to ensure the house wouldn't get damp later, then turned on my phone. Messages in the class group were still flooding the screen. Haha, the heavens have sent water. The fields were just tilled, perfect for sowing. In these 10 days, I'm going to grow a vegetable garden. Brothers, not bad at all. Just went into the sea and caught a few big fish. Let's have a grilled fish party tonight. Ji Ranran also posted a photo of the island's beach and palm trees with a small mountain of supplies at the center of the picture. Boxes of bottled water, vacuum-packed meats, canned goods, and even a few bottles of red wine. Several boys gathered around her wearing flattering smiles as if presenting treasures. Oh dear, I really don't know what to do with them. Everyone says there's no need to give me so much, but luckily my portable space is big enough. So I'll reluctantly help everyone store it for the sake of fairness. Remember to register with me if you need anything. Envious and flattering messages flooded the screen. Some people also looked at the mountain of supplies and muttered to themselves. So many things. Can they really all be registered and distributed? It feels so chaotic. Xiaoming, what do you mean? Are you questioning Goddess Ran Ran? Ran Ran is doing this to prevent a rush. If you're not satisfied, go team up with Lin Fei. Her boat and high-rise doesn't even have a bottle of water. No one will fight you for it. I closed the group chat interface and fell into a deep sleep lulled by the sound of rain outside the window. The next day, heavy rain. No longer the steady drizzle of yesterday. It turned into a downpour water, quickly gathered in the low-lying areas of the city. The balcony of the 20-story apartment building became a small water curtain cave. I walked barefoot to the balcony door, breathing in the water molecules. Wildly, my whole body was filled with strength. I reinforced the balcony door and hollowed out the bottom of the railing to create a simple drainage system. Unless the balcony collapsed from insufficient load-bearing capacity, rainwater wouldn't enter the house. The class group chat had already exploded with activity. Damn, the rain is too heavy. The seeds I just planted are all soaked and rotten. The water is almost flooding into the house. Help! The tide is rising on the island. The high ground where we set up camp is about to be submerged. And a lot of our food has been washed away. My ability is still generating water resources. It's completely useless. At G Ran. Didn't you say this ability would save our lives? What do we do now? Under the threat to their interests, many people turn their anger toward G Ran, who had been the center of attention just yesterday. G Ran felt wronged. Is it my fault? Was it me who forced you at knife point to choose freshwater resources? You all eagerly rushed to pick me yourself, and now you're blaming me. Ishwan tried to maintain order, his voice also carrying a barely noticeable hint of anxiety. Everyone, calm down. Ran, now is not the time to dwell on this. You've stored so many resources in your space. Quickly share them with everyone for emergency use. G Ran's voice rose even higher, laced with crying and petulance. Why should I? That's what I worked so hard to collect. I haven't even finished registering at all. And you want me to hand it over now when the situation is unclear? What if the sun comes out blazing tomorrow? 50 degrees heat. This water could be life-saving. Her words were like cold water splashed into a boiling oil pan. G Ran. What time is it? And you're still thinking about your registration. Still dreaming about tomorrow's heat wave. Look at this rain. Does it look like it's going to stop? Hoarding so many resources in your own space. Isn't that just trying to hold us hostage? Deputy Monitor, say something. The group chat was in chaos, filled entirely with accusations and complaints directed at G Ran. Zhou Yishuan was flustered, trying to mediate, but suddenly seemed to have a bright idea and tagged me at Lin Fei. Isn't your place a high-rise building? It must be very safe. Quickly tell us the address. I'll teleport the island people there to take refuge. As a result, this made G Ran react again. Vice Monitor, why do you always want to be with Lin Fei? Do you like her? I forbid it. Whoever dares to approach her, I'll never give them any resources. Zhou Yishuan helplessly said. Ran, stop making trouble. This is a matter of life and death. Who's making a fuss? Didn't everyone need my space? Whoever swears not to go and flatter Lin Fei, I'll let them take refuge in my space. With G Ran stirring things up like this, I, who had just regained everyone's attention, was once again forgotten by everyone as they flocked to her for resources. She once again became the center of attention in the crowd. I put down my phone and walked to a corner of the living room where a few inconspicuous cardboard boxes were piled up. Opening of them, inside were neatly arranged power banks, laptops, and tablets with indicator lights showing full battery. In another box were several thick paper books, a few board games, and even a small projector. These were the supplies I quickly gathered during the few minutes when the system announced the rules and everyone was busy grabbing red envelopes and mocking me. Some of the most useless items in a high-temperature apocalypse, yet capable of maintaining mental stability in a confined environment as non-essential survival items. I picked up a fully charged power bank, plugged it into my phone, and watched the heated arguments in the group chat. On the third day, the precipitation doubled once again. If yesterday's heavy rain could still be considered normal, today's was at the level of a storm. The rain was no longer droplets, but heavy walls of water driven by fierce winds and crashing to the ground. In just one morning, the water level had already risen past the first floor. I no longer need to go to the balcony and stand in the rain to absorb energy. I can now steadfastly stay in bed and look at my phone. The class group chat is eerily silent. Yesterday's arguments have long been replaced by panic and despair. Only sporadic messages pop up. Water's flooding in. Can't stop it. Help. It's over. The camp is completely flooded. The air raid shelter door is leaking water. I'm freezing to death. What kind of damn apocalypse is this? Tsunami. Find the highest ground, quickly. Advice Monitor, Zhou Yishuan. Vice Monitor. Save us. Teleport over and take us away. Anywhere is fine. Please, Zhou Yishuan only replied with a string of ellipses. His teleportation ability consumed a great deal of energy each time, but at this moment, there was no safe location. Every teleportation to rescue someone came with immense risks, and he could hardly ensure his own safety. Ji Ranran's message suddenly popped up, carrying an almost obsessive intensity. What's all this panic? Keep your composure. After heavy rain comes intense heat. That's the rule. We're about to face temperatures above 50 degrees. How can you be my knights and protect me if you're all panicking like this? Pull yourselves together. Even her most devoted follower couldn't take it anymore, letting out a frustrated laugh. Ji Ranran, wake the hell up. Intense heat. Knights. The sky is about to collapse out there. Still acting like a princess at a time like this. Are you out of your mind? Where are your supplies? Bring them out. We're all going to freeze or starve to death. My supplies are what I saved through my own efforts. Why should I give them to you? Useless people. When the heat wave comes, you'll see. Her sharp retort abruptly cut off at the top of everyone's phone screens. An undeniable system notification popped up simultaneously. All mute statuses in the group have been lifted. Administrator Ji Ranran, privileges have been revoked. Administrator Xiao Yishuan, privileges have been revoked. Administrator Wang Chong, permissions have been revoked. A series of administrator permission revocation notifications appeared, ending with one final message. Group name has been reset from Scorching Apocalypse to Torrential Rain Apocalypse. The entire group seemed to have been paused. Then it exploded. Rainstorm Apocalypse. What rainstorm apocalypse? System, are you messing with us? What about the heat? Where's the promised heat? This is going to drown us. Ji Ranran, it's all your fault. Where's the high temperature you promised? Xiao Yishuan, didn't you say you've analyzed it? Desperate screams filled the screen, nearly bursting the phone right in the heart of this utterly chaotic storm. My message awkwardly slipped in. Image, JPG, the on the balcony was shut out, leaving the room bathed in the dry, warm glow of candlelight. A tablet, a notebook, and an open novel lay nearby, its pages neat and tidy. The safe house looks comfortable and leisurely, a stark contrast to the ruins where others were submerged and destroyed. The frantic scrolling in the group chat suddenly came to a halt. A few seconds later, a flurry of exclamation marks exploded. Lin Fei, I get it now. Lin Fei changed the group name. Everyone is an admin, and so is she. It's clearly a rainstorm, but you changed it to extreme heat. You want to kill us, right? I'll kill you. You have no resources at all. You should have starved to death. Do you have some other special ability? System, I want to report her for cheating. I want to reselect the safe house and ability at group owner. I calmly watched the frantic messages flashing on the screen. Why are you still Chun Ju now if you never read books? I chose reverse photosynthesis. It survives just on air humidity, needing hardly any food or water at all. You can silence others, but not let me change my name. You should have noticed on the first rainy day. So fond of taking risks. You deserve to die. At that moment, the long absence system prompt popped up again. Attention all hosts. The first phase, safe house survival, has ended, comma. The second phase, mission resource scramble, will begin in 10 minutes, comma. Hosts with intact safe houses will receive priority notifications, comma. All communication is currently muted. The group chat fell completely silent. My phone kept vibrating incessantly. Everyone except Ji Ranran and Zhou Yishuan started frantically sending me private messages. The same people who had treated me like a plague earlier were now groveling with flattery, apologizing, offering deals, praising me while bad-mouthing Ji Ranran among a pile of private messages. I precisely opened the notification sent by the system. It sent me a long list showing the safe house and abilities each person in the class had chosen, as well as team arrangements. The first round of voting had only lasted 5 minutes, and the messages were still chaotic, causing me to barely remember others' choices. This intelligence came just in time. I ignored everyone else and carefully reviewed the list. Tried my best to memorize all the important information at the beginning of the second round. I definitely won't have time to check my phone at any moment. 10 minutes later, Phase 2, Resource Grab, has started. Duration, 3 days. Comma, the individual or team with the highest points will advance to the next stage. Points include survival resources, plus number of abilities. Defeating other hosts allows you to seize their abilities. Integrity of safe house intact. Points +1. 000. You cannot exit the game at this stage. As soon as the announcement was made, everyone's names were followed by a string of numbers. Most were below 500, while mine was 500. Teaming up with me was almost a guaranteed win, and there was no need to worry about the safe house being in danger. The group chat mute was lifted, and the remaining survivors went wild, frantically tagging me. Lin Fei. Lin Fei's safe house is intact. She gained 1,000 points. At Sister Lin Fei. Help. Form a team with me. My ability is enhanced strength. I'll protect you. All resources are yours. Master Lin Fei. Please take me in. I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have joined in insulting you earlier. I'll teleport over to protect you. Tell me your location. Fei. What classmates? You can't just let me die. Let's team up. Those once contemptuous and mocking avatars have now donned the most humble masks. They need to form a team and share the coordinates of my safe house to be teleported over by the system. My finger hovered over the input box, and in the end, I typed only 3 words. No team, no hesitation, no mercy. After a brief silence, flattery turned into even more frenzied abuse. Lin Fei, you bastard. You just stood by and watched someone die. Are you even human? May you die a horrible death. Just wait. When we find you, we'll tear you to pieces. Selfish deserves to be left alone. On the 4th day, the rainfall doubled again, flooding the 3rd floor. The class group chat no longer had mass messages, but instead was filled with a crimson death notice board. Zhang Chao has left the group chat. Li Si Yu has left the group chat. Wang Chang has left the group chat. Survivors, 25/50ths. Half of the people are dead, could have been drowned, could have been killed by a companion to gain supernatural abilities. Who knows? Request suddenly popped up. Zhou Yixian requests to add you as a friend. I clicked agree almost instantly. His messages flooded in, carrying a breathless sense of deep affection. Fei, you're finally willing to talk to me. I knew you still had me in your heart. It was all Ran stirring up trouble and turning everyone against you. I'd been speaking up for you in private all along. Fei, we're trapped in a cave, and I don't have the strength to teleport anymore. Only where you are is safe. Quickly tell me your location so I can come to you. I swear I'll protect you with my life. As long as you save me this time, we'll be together. I've actually always liked you. I just didn't dare admit it before because of Ran and everyone else's pressure. Fei, give us a chance. Okay, every word drips with blood. Every sentence brims with deep emotion. In my previous life, he did the same thing, using gentle eyes and unavoidable excuses to deceive me, only to turn around and sell me out in the end. My finger hovered over the screen for a moment before I replied. You like me, really? Fei, I swear on heaven. What about your teammates? I typed slowly. The team has been bound for a long time. Unless all your teammates are dead, you can't regroup. Right. There was silence on the other end for a few seconds. I pretended to be regretful. Forget it then. Good luck trying to survive 3 days. The typing indicator at the top of the screen flickered on and off. Finally, he gave his answer. Fei, if I don't have any teammates left, will you team up with me? I stared at the screen, my gaze icy. Within minutes, several death notifications refreshed in the group chat. Zhou Yishuan's teammates were all dead. He couldn't wait to send a team invitation. I succeeded. They're dead. Come on, Fei, to play hard to get just to spend time alone with me. You really are. I immediately took a screenshot of our conversation and sent it to the group. The group members were too busy running for their lives to care much about the few who had died. But my message was probably on special watch for many, and they instantly exploded. Who knew the vice monitor was this kind of person? To kill his own brothers just to lick Lin Fei's sols, pretending to be so fair all the time. What a real pain in the ass. Xia Haishan, Chun Xiale, did you see that? Your good brothers have killed several other good brothers. Zhou Yishuan, I'll haunt you even as a ghost. Kill him. Whoever sees Zhou Yishuan, kill him for me. Seize his powers. Let him die a gruesome death. Zhou Yishuan's carefully cultivated image as a good class monitor, good brother, and gentle and reliable person completely collapsed. He frantically sent me private messages, one after another. Lin Fei, how could you send it out? I did it for you. I did it for our future. Quick, retract it. Please, retract it. Those people in the group are still useful to me. Don't ruin this for me. The cursing in the group continued to escalate, with some even frantically tagging the system, reporting Zhou Yishuan for maliciously murdering teammates and demanding that his special abilities be revoked. Zhou Yishuan's private messages paused for a moment, and when they resumed, they carried a tone of bitter resentment and bluster, as if he had nothing left to lose. Lin Fei, you're ruthless. Fine, you're ruthless enough. You think you can clear yourself like this. You think they'll be grateful to you. Dream on. They hate you just as much to the bone. Just wait. Once they recover, you'll be the next to die. I immediately closed the private chat window with him and blocked him. Day 5. The flood had already submerged most of the low-rise buildings. The rain had eased slightly, but still fell steadily, pounding against the apartment windows with a dull sound. The class group chat was eerily quiet, with the number of survivors now showing as 1750. Curses and pleas had all vanished, leaving only the occasional emergency coordinates popping up, quickly covered by new death notifications. In this suffocating silence, an unexpected profile picture suddenly spoke in the group. Ji ran yen at everyone. It was me who was too willful before. I couldn't see the situation clearly, causing everyone to be in such a difficult position now. Every word carried a sense of carefulness, completely different from her previously adored team favorite image. She posted a photo showing the island completely submerged, standing alone on a small hill with a pile of scattered supplies beside her. Her tone was humbling to the extreme. My teammates are all gone. Please, for the sake of having been in the same class, anyone willing to team up with me, I'm offering all the resources from my storage space. I just want a chance to team up. She recited a string of coordinate numbers. This is my location. I don't want anything else. I just want to be with everyone. Sob, sob. The message had been sent for a while before someone finally broke the silence, their tone filled with undisguised sarcasm. Ji Ran, our noble campus belle, aren't you protected by your loyal knights? Weren't you going to have a beach party? Did all your knights get fed to the fish? Hand over all your resources. Who would believe that? Isn't your space bound to you? Who knows if you're holding back? Trying to trick people into being your cannon fodder again. Get lost. I'm sick of seeing you. If it weren't for your blind leadership back then, misleading everyone to choose freshwater resources, would we be in such a miserable state? Once the pampered darling who was adored by all, she had now become universally disliked, with no one responding to her team-up request. About half an hour later, several extremely panicked suddenly popped up in the group chat. Ji Ran, your mother, you the coordinates aren't the floodgate. We were swept away as soon as we teleported over. Li Wei and Wang Tao are gone. The information abruptly stopped and the system displayed a cold prompt. Li Wei has left the group chat. Wang Tao has left the group chat. Zhang Chong has left the group chat. A few seconds later, a hoarse voice sounded in the group, carrying a tremor of having narrowly escaped death and a bone-chilling hatred. Before Sun Xiao died, he said that the teammates on the island were led by Ji Ran to dangerous places on purpose to scout the way, and that's how they died. She killed all the teammates. Don't trust her. Ji Ran's avatar never lit up again. On the 6th day, the rain stopped, but the sky remained dreadfully overcast. I stood by the window of my apartment, gazing outside. The lower floors of the building below were completely submerged with muddy water, carrying various debris, presenting a scene of apocalypse. The phone vibrated and a system prompt suddenly sounded. Starting score settlement. Final 10 minutes of the second stage countdown. Live streaming within the group has been enabled. But no one in the group replied to these messages, as the class group, originally consisting of 50 people, now had only 3 members left. Me, Zhou Yixuan, and Ji Ranyan. My points are still 500, while the other 2 have 400 points each. Host, Zhou Yixuan, detected near safe house area, almost simultaneously with the prompt. The reinforced security door of the apartment suddenly let out a loud bang bang. The heavy metal door remained unmoved. Lin Fei, open the door. I know you're inside. There's no time left. Outside the door came Zhou Yixuan's hoarse roar, carrying an uncontrollable fear. I walked to the door, didn't open it, didn't respond, just listened quietly. Zhou Yixuan's voice carried a hint of pleading. Lin Fei, I was wrong before. I apologize to you, but now is not the time to hold grudges. It's too dangerous outside. We have to fight side by side, survive together. Ji Ranran, however, sent a series of voice messages in the group chat. Survive together. You sold out your teammates without saying a word. How dare you talk about fighting side by side? If your true colors hadn't been exposed yesterday, they would have kept their guard up against you. You could have tricked even more people. Shut up. Zhou Yixuan seemed enraged and turned to shout at me. Fei Fei, don't listen to her. She's killed so many people. She's just a lunatic. She's trying to drive a wedge between us, so we can't form a team. Ji Ranran sneered again in the group chat. Deputy class monitor, playing the good guy now. Wasn't it you who egged everyone on to isolate her and told me her confession as a joke? Wasn't it you who, to please me, hinted that everyone should push the heaviest physical tasks onto her? What's with the deep affection act now? Zhou Yixuan's voice suddenly rose, filled with the anger of being wronged. When did I ever do such things? Don't you dare slander me. You won't do it this time, but you will next time. You were born to sell out your teammates. The more they argued, the more intense it became. I opened the door. Zhou Yixuan saw me and forcibly suppressed his anger, wanting to rush over and hug me. Fei Fei, I knew you still had me in your heart. Let's team up. Submit the application right away. Ji Ranyan is catching up fast. But I brushed his hand away and said lightly, your only ability is teleportation. Zhou Yifei thought I was feeling insecure and tried to comfort me in a gentle tone. It's fine, Fei Fei, as long as we team up. Ji Ranyan will be eliminated right away. I can share your ability, so neither of us will die in this apocalypse. But before he could touch me, he was knocked away by a strong force. Ji Ranyan arrived late. After killing a few teammates, her ability increased to Iron Body. In contrast, Zhou Yixuan's teammates were almost all fooled by Ji Ranyan into choosing the most useless water resource ability. Moreover, due to his character collapse, no one was willing to team up with him again, resulting in his ability being completely no match for Ji Ranyan at this moment. He watched helplessly as Ji Ranyan walked into my house, and I showed no intention of stopping her. Zhou Yixuan was stunned. What would you mean? Ji Ranyan completely changed her previous cold and hostile attitude toward me, put her shoulder on mine, and laughed heartily. I've been waiting for this moment for so long, just to see your face when you get eaten, ha ha ha. Zhou Yixuan, when you betrayed me and Lin Fei, did you ever think about your current situation? What are you talking about? When did I ever betray the two of you? I rolled my eyes, not bothering to explain further, and took out my phone. 2. Operated system notification. Host Lin Fei has invited host Ji Ranran to join the team. Host Ji Ranran has accepted the invitation. Almost at the same moment, the team invitation notification popped up. System announcement. Phase 2 has ended. Congratulations to the team of hosts Lin Fei and Ji Ranran for topping the leaderboard and advancing to the final phase. Survival on a lone boat with a duration of 1 day. Zhou Yixuan's pupils contracted sharply. It felt like the sky was falling. No, Lin Fei, are you crazy? You teamed up with her. She's a venomous woman. She killed everyone. Xie said, can you cut out this act of the group's favorite doing evil? Last time, too, you said it was all to protect Ji Ranran. That's why you betrayed me. But then you took all the special abilities and resources for yourself. Who could be more venomous than you? Zhou Yixuan's eyes flickered as if vaguely remembering something. But the system didn't give him any extra time. The next second, with a bewildered and desperate expression, Zhou Yixuan stopped breathing and was erased. Ji Ranran viciously kicked his corpse several times. On that once beautiful face, there was no trace of pitiful helplessness, only a hatred that ran deep into the bones. System prompt. Host Zhou Yixuan has died, comma. Detection of host Zhou Yixuan's ability. Teleportation is now available for acquisition. Hosts Lin Fei and Ji Ranran may choose to acquire or abandon. No one moved. Day 7. A small rubber boat drifts on the murky water. This was the only supply that abruptly appeared on the apartment balcony when the system announced we had entered the final stage. Ji Ranran and I sit side by side in the boat, drifting through this, completely submerged. Silent city. In the end, Ji Ranran spoke first. Is the last day meant for us to kill each other? I nodded, facing her openly. You're strong. Go ahead and kill me if you want. She clicked her tongue and turned her head away, expressionlessly. Do you think I'm the kind of beast Zhou Yixuan is? Ji Ranran and I were in cahoots from the start. We were reborn in the previous life, when everyone knew it was a torrential rain apocalypse. Zhou Yixuan chose reverse photosynthesis, and I, to help the people in my class, chose a food factory as a safe house and a portable space as my superpower. I formed many teammates and let them freely enjoy my resources. Most people chose teleportation as their superpower, exploring everywhere in the apocalypse without any survival pressure. In the second stage, Zhou Yixuan suddenly begged me to give him more resources, saying he actually only wanted to team up with me, that he could protect me from harm in the apocalypse, and that we could clear the game together. I was bewitched, although I didn't agree to abandon my teammates. I gave him directions to where the resources were hidden. He immediately posted the chat logs in the group. I was besieged by furious teammates, severely injured, and Zhou Yixuan took over the resources with a heavy heart. They locked me in the warehouse to die. Zhou Yixuan finally threw at me a final sentence. Only Ji Ranyan deserves our protection. Someone like you is only fit to be a tool. Be smarter in your next life. No one will appreciate your help. In the end, it was Ji Ranyan who rescued me. In my previous life, she was a lone wolf, never teaming up with anyone, choosing a high-rise building as her safe house and selecting the ability, Iron Body, just to survive until the end on her own, even setting her group chat to Do Not Disturb. But because of this, she missed Zhou Yixuan's performance in the group chat. He wanted my resources, used me as a target, gathered a team of 20 people, and forced me into his squad. I was treated as a plaything by those men. They called me a troublemaker, saying that if it weren't for being on the same team as me, they wouldn't have been bossed around by Zhou Yixuan. If it weren't for my iron will, I would have been tortured to death. 20 people successfully entered the third stage, but at this point, the system indicated that the 1 billion prize could only be split equally. Zhou Yixuan, driven by greed, lured everyone to the floodgate, and thanks to his advantage of reverse photosynthesis, he emerged unscathed from the flood. After my teammate died, I was chased by him, too, and finally remembered I still had you for a chance to survive. Ji Ranran teamed up with me. I still had plenty of resources stored in my space, so our combined points barely surpassed Zhou Yixuan's, and that's how we won. But after rescuing me, we were both seriously injured, far from being as capable as we are in this life. In our previous life, we barely made it through the final day, but as soon as we left the game, Our injuries proved too severe, and we both died. Perhaps it was a system bug, but our memories were preserved. When the game restarted for the second time, Ji Wanwan and I entered this group simultaneously, making a pact to take revenge on everyone in the class. I changed the group name, and she covers for me every time someone questions my choices. She jumps in to stir the pot, deepening the impression of a high-temperature apocalypse. When choosing supernatural abilities, she also works hard to pit me against others, dispelling their doubts. Who would have thought that this seemingly delicate campus belle actually harbors deep hatred for the boys in the class, since everyone treated her as a femme fatale in the previous life? This time she'll truly be one to cut off Zhou Yixuan's wings. She split up the brotherhood within the class, and I tore off Zhou Yixuan's false mask. We went through great hardships to lure Zhou Yixuan here without any teammates, without powerful abilities, all for this very moment. Ding! Congratulations to the host, Lin Fei, and Ji Wanyan for successfully passing the survival on a lone boat stage end of the world game Rainstorm Apocalypse officially cleared final. Reward: 100 million yuan in cash has been allocated to the designated accounts of both hosts. Hosts who did not clear the game will be erased in reality. Game will close in 10 seconds. 10-9, it's time to go, Ji Ranran said softly. The countdown reached 0. Opening my eyes again, I saw the familiar ceiling. Received a transfer notification on the phone. Credit of 50 million. The rain outside the window stopped. After listening to this story, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your ideas in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you.